I am with Chauncey Hicks in Hermosa Beach, California. Chauncey loves fantasy by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Chauncey, welcome.
Thank you very much, Constantine. Good to see you as always.
What do you feel when you listen to fantasy?
What do I feel when I listen to fantasy? A sort of uncanny, bittersweetness, I'd say.
Why uncanny?
Because it seems, well, I'll get right into it. It's the song seems to uh, allude to, in my opinion, dying and going to either doesn't really matter, just dying pretty much. Fantasy seems like an otherworldly something. So as such, it's something I couldn't possibly imagine. But I think the song very succinctly represents these kind of conflicting emotions that would come with uh, moving on to another thing.
And why do you love that? Like, why was that the song that you would choose for this, and what you would want to talk about?
Well, when you ask me, what songs do I enjoy, we started talking about it. I kind of just picked what came to mind immediately, like I do with many things. And don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot of other songs that I like more than fantasy. There's probably a lot of other songs I've listened to many, many more times. But if you ask me, like, why I enjoy uh, uh, Funk Soul Brother by Fatboy Slim, I'm not saying I like that song more than fantasy, but if you ask me why I like that song, I have a very stupid. It's cool, it's cool. Like I have a very very simple answer. I couldn't really explain why I enjoy it. It's just kind of like a silly fun thing that's active and upbeat. But fantasy uh, is more like something that if it's playing somewhere, I'm more likely to be transfixed on it as opposed to it just being something that's existing in the background, like uh, Fatboy Slim would.
So, would you say fantasy is harder to talk about than other songs that you could have picked for this, or easier?
It's a little bit of both. It's harder to pinpoint what's great about it, I think, but it's easier to talk it to. It's easier to prattle on about, directionlessly. you know.
Does it highlight a part of you that you really enjoy about yourself? That you like fantasy? Do you sort of um take it as part of you?
Um, Only if I was trying to show off. If I wanted to impress somebody with my musical know-how, I would like play it and then like very annoyingly give like very minute, commentary and assessments and talk about, oh, you heard that shit, and I could imagine someone be like, wow, that's crazy, and then in their minds are like, please shut up. But I wouldn't say it necessarily represents um, anything more than my interests or things that I'd be thinking about whether or not that song existed. I wouldn't say there's any quality that I can identify with it other than it's relevant to my interests.
So if someone says like Chauncey is the human embodiment of the song fantasy, is that super reductive, or is that would you be honored?
I'd be honored, but also concerned a little bit. I think, like, that'd be a fantastic honor. But uh, but but no, I think it represents maybe. I guess going back on my previous answer, if it represents a part of me, I don't think it necessarily represents any of my favorite parts of me. Um, I think there's other songs that I would hope people would be like, yeah, that's that guy. You know, uh, I don't know why I keep thinking about Fatboy Slim. I don't like that song that much, but like that's like more my energy. I feel like that weird '90s breakbeat, like stupidness. Anyways, yeah.
Would you be more honored if someone said Chauncey is the human embodiment of Funk Soul Brother?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, because uh, I think it's much more of a pointless song, and I think maybe there's a bit more truth to that. Like, it's not saying anything. It's just that's like a pure embodiment. It's funny we're talking about fucking Fatboy Slim. Might as well make the episode about Fatboy Slim. That song is more of an embodiment of like a very simple and pure emotion, where I feel like fantasy is kind of um, attempting something bigger. I'm not sure if it even is perfect uh, representation of what it's trying to do, but I think there's a lot to dig into this song fantasy, and so I think there's a lot to that you could discuss, like a lot of individual components that you could sort of break down and be like, that's cool and that enhances this, stuff like that.
Mhm. So let's go back to the listening part during when you're listening to fantasy. You feel neutral. You put on the song, let's say in your headphones and without a lot of other distractions. Let's say you're walking. How are you beginning to feel from neutral to you're now listening to fantasy?
Um, it's got a very uh, kind of an iconic, but it's got a really unique intro. It's got these very brittle sounding keys that play sort of dissonant chords. So immediately that grabs my attention. So immediately, if I have the headphones on, whatever, that comes on for a second, I'm gonna be like, oh shit. Um, and then once the song gets going, it's funky, but it's understated. So it's a song that can kind of put the hook on you. So if it was a more brash song, maybe it would come up on shuffle or something, and I'd be like, ah, Christ, I can't listen to this right now. Like it's not. I'm not in the mood to listen to something. So yeah, but fantasy, because it has such a sort of mysterious opening, regardless of what mood I'm in. So let's say neutral, whatever it is, I can get sucked into it.
Okay. What material do you feel like when you listen to fantasy, or what object? Maybe you haven't felt like this, but now that I say it, if it makes sense, what would it be? And if it doesn't make sense, we skip.
It kind of does make sense. Um, uh, there are some other songs that I tend to visualize or listen to. With fantasy, I mean, and I guess I think about, well, every time I listen to it, I see that album art for what the album's called, and it's got like some, I don't know, I haven't really paid that much attention, but it kind of looks like this sort of pyramid looking,
Mm-hmm.
Egyptian sort of grandiose thing. Uh, to answer your question, I think about the if I had to describe it now, maybe I haven't felt this in the past, but if I had to describe it now, during the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, during the Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite sequence, the flashy LSD looking sequence. It's like 20 minutes. It's all like boomery, trippy nostalgia, whatever. There's these like seven like floating diamonds that like show up and stuff, and I don't know, explained. It's just like this kind of beautiful but like weird thing floating in space. I would say that if I had to pick an object, something like that anyway, something beyond comprehension, but still quite beautiful. Let's go with that.
If an alien race comes to Earth and they're neutral towards us, as far as we can tell, and we play fantasy for them, do you think it would be more advantageous for us to just play it for them, or to play it and explain why we're playing this for them?
Just play it, absolutely. Don't even really just hit play and just glare at them and and sort of see how they react, and then we can decide how to treat them after that.
The leader of a country and their closest advisors meet, like a top secret meeting. Fantasy is playing in the background the entire time. What nation's leader and advisors are most influenced by this, and which are the least influenced?
I would say I would say like 2002 Iraq would be most influenced by I don't know. That's just what came. Least influenced the Chinese.
Current Chinese?
Any era Chinese. Just,
Okay.
for their 2 millennia plus history, 5 millennia. Not a
Yeah.
not anthropological. Yeah.
Are they just ignoring it? They're kind of able to just like not care that it's flying.
It's well, they've got walls to build. They've got important things to do. They can't get bogged down by Maurice White. You know, no. If I could change my answer, I think most influence would be let's just move on to the next slide. I think it could be the best move. I'm just going to say some crazy things otherwise.
Be as wild as possible here. How would you
Christ.
how would you stage this song live?
Ooh. Um, um, nothing crazy really. The music speaks for itself. It'd be a nice big ensemble. I wouldn't want any stage effects or any keyboard synth patches to cover up the rich instrumentation. Um, you know, I have to say, what really sold this song for me, because I was aware of it when I was a kid, but I was lucky enough to see Earth, Wind, and Fire at the Hollywood Bowl sometime, um, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. I don't really know. Whatever, you know. And they played, great set, they played all the hits, great, oh, it's cool, Shining Star, oh, it's awesome, Hearts of Fire, oh, it's so cool. And then like late in the set, like one of their last songs was Fantasy. And um, and again, I was familiar with the song, but I wasn't particularly wowed by it. But then as they played it, uh, um, once they got to the chorus, which is really the outro to the song, they don't really play the chorus doesn't really appear in the song. It's like a snippet of it, and they play the intro part again, and then the rest of the song is just chorus until it ends, and it's like a long structured chorus, and it's just insistent, and it gets bigger and bigger. And I remember the last time they ran through it, the bassist was like jumping up and down, and the intensity of that moment like was very impressive to me. So as far as staging it live, I don't think you really need to dress it up at all. If you just have a strong ensemble performing the hell out of it, people are gonna you'll tear the roof down pretty much.
What's the most opposite music to Fantasy that you also love?
Uh, um, like Slayer, probably. Her. Uh, uh, um, yes, like Metallica or Slayer would probably be. That's about as uh, yeah, fulfills completely opposite enjoyment.
And final question. If Fantasy was a cross street in Los Angeles, which cross street would it be?
Exposition and uh, uh, Jefferson and Exposition crossed. It's a weird, like that weird kind of like curved L. I would say there. I would say there. Very transitory, um, almost liminal. That intersection. I would say.
Chauncey Hicks, thank you very much.
Fucking love Los Angeles. All right, thank you very much, Constantine. It's been a lot of fun.